time, Call of Duty pretty much ran the market. I mean, it still, to an extent, does. Everybody knows that name. They probably forever will, just because of the history it has. But for some of us, we always wanted to have like something else, like a different type of game. You know, if you see the same formula over and over again, it just feels kind of repetitive. And I think some of us wanted something new, you know, and there's a lot of shooters that do that, but what really got my interest was this was the same studio or former people that actually worked with the Modern Warfare, I believe, series of Call of Duty. And this team set out and made their own version of the game, and this came from an older team that was really well known in the franchise. So this kind of got me interested. I said, okay, you know, like I liked, and still this day, I seem like I go back and play the older CODs more than I do the newer ones because of, you know, the changes they were making. So I tried this out, and the first time I was playing the first Titanfall, I remember it being almost like, it reminded me of MechWarrior. I played those very briefly a long time ago as a kid on the PC. And it was like one of the first games where you could get like in a kind of robotic suit, so to speak, and you could go over and, you know, destroy things and fight other, you know, enemies. And it was different, you know, but at that time it was still a game that just was kind of on the peak of this idea and really getting that concept to work. I've heard that the franchise is still going, and yet they've made a lot of new ones. So, I mean, there is still a good fan base following that game series. But going back to Titanfall, when I first got it, I was just having a lot of fun with it. I liked the fact that you could choose. There wasn't much to choose from as far as the Titans went. There was like 3 different classes, I believe, but the maps were different. The gameplay felt very different. Felt very agile as far as like how you could wall run was a new thing. I never remember doing that in games. It was pretty much like, it kind of felt like a space age parkour system with guns, which is kind of cool. The story was pretty good. I liked the concept, and like I said, getting into Titans with that time period and how games were evolving, it felt really cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the concept of calling it down, watching it fall from the heavens, so to speak, come through the atmosphere and just crash down. You could just get into this massive piece of steel and just start wrecking havoc. The first game was very cool about the fact that you could customize the Titans, so you could equip them with different weapons, and there was like different models, and each one had like a little bit of a different ability than the other ones. I remember the heavier ones weren't so mobile, things like that. They were a little slower, but they could take more damage, versus you'd have a thinner Titan that, you know, didn't have so much heavy metal to it, no pun intended, and, you know, you could move quickly and dodge things and be more versatile, and that's what shined on that. So the balancing system felt pretty good. There was a lot of different game types for it, and then I also remember that you could do executions, which was really fun to do. If you came up behind somebody, you could hit the controller stick, and that would allow you to do an execution move. You could like break the guy's neck. It was kind of fun doing that, especially when you snuck up on somebody. Me and my friends, we really enjoyed playing it. It was very unique in how it, like I said, how it played, and they added some new things I've never seen before, and that's what kind of caught us on to the fact. And then all of a sudden, it was so funny, and I can't prove this, but I have a really good feeling that it's the truth, that COD comes out with Advanced Warfare this time. And when I was watching the trailer, just because I always want to see what COD's doing next, I swear to you, they were copying the formula. They were so desperate for new ideas, and the games have been so repetitive that I see like the pods are dropping down and the soldiers getting out. I was like, wait a second, that's attrition in Titanfall. Then they do a wall running thing. It's like, I was doing that too. And then all of a sudden they do a double jump, which you were doing in Titanfall, and it just really made me mad because of like, you're stealing the ideas, because at the time they were just so wanting to make a new game, and they saw how well Titanfall was doing, that I feel like they were trying to steal some of its thunder at the time, which to this day, Advance is probably one of the worst Call of Duty games in the franchise to me. I do not like playing that at all. I just felt like if I'm playing COD, I want to be a soldier on the ground, you know, shooting back, very traditional style shooter. Titanfall, to me, they did something special, but they ran with it. And like I said, when I play that game, that's why I go back to play it. It's just the ability to do all those maneuvers and everything, because it was like this sci-fi kind of thing going for it, and so it kind of fits the bill. And I feel like COD should stay out of that realm. They shouldn't have gone into it. So that's one reason I really like how Titanfall did it, and the fact that they had the former developers making it. I think that's what added that spice to it. It made it really fun. So after the success of this game and it being really interesting, it was very basic. There wasn't too much you could do until the second game comes out. When Titanfall 2 came out, I was ecstatic. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was blown away. They had a grappling hook system to it, which so many games use today. It's insane. And that made the game just completely change the field of it, because now you could use all these different abilities. So what they did was each soldier you had a different ability you could equip it with, each pilot, for example. So some of them you could do a teleport, and some of them you could use a shield. Some of them you could even cloak, which you were doing in the first one, but now what they did was they gave a class to each one of these abilities instead of you just mixing and matching like the first one did. And this kind of gave the game a little bit of, to me, more balance, I think, because instead of you like making all these things together and customizing your Titan, each Titan as well had a certain class to it. And they took like strong parts of the Titan you could do before, and they just gave it to a certain type, if that makes sense. So now each Titan had like a weakness, and each Titan had, you know, skills that may kind of give it an advantage over another one. But to me, it felt good. It felt like each one had a little bit of a difficulty to it, but once you mastered that, you get really good with that Titan. It was kind of funny because after playing with these different types of Titans through the game, I found out that I liked the North Star the best, which was a sniper class. And it was just a fun Titan to play because it had enough maneuverability. Didn't have a lot of armor, but if you know how to use it and you could fly above the battlefield and do pinpoint shooting with it and charge the cannon up, it could be devastating. So that ended up being like my favorite all-around Titan on the game. Also, a second close is the Ronin, which was obviously like a samurai-based Titan, which used the mechanics of a Titan that looked similar from the first one and gave it a sword. And it had the ability to maneuver from side to side with the thrusters, and it also had an ability to teleport itself to get closer to the enemy, and that's what gave it its advantage. But the disadvantage was it couldn't take a lot of hits. It wasn't a heavy armored Titan due to the size. So again, it depending on how you played it and stuff, it had its good, it had its bads, and the balance feels really good to this game. Like from the pilots to the actual Titans you have, it just felt like each one got a little something. And once you mastered that, and everybody played different ones, so it wasn't like one just, you saw the same ones in the game, or you saw everybody using the same guns, and I'm going to come to that next. The weapons. This is one thing with shooters, it's almost a make or break, and it doesn't matter what game we're talking about. But one thing about this game I really enjoyed was a very detailed class, so to speak. So a lot of games I played, it felt like when a new gun came out or a new class came out or something like that, that class had so much firepower and damage that whatever other shotguns or pistols or whatever it had in the game felt like it was kind of useless compared to this gun. Because these classes or these weapons are so much better, or if you put a certain attachment on it, made that gun like a godlike gun, and you could just wipe the field with people And to me, if you didn't buy the DLC, if you don't buy these weapons, that's how they get you. You feel like you're at a disadvantage. I think Titanfall, the weapons feel very balanced. Now, there's some that seem might be a little overpowered, but you can work with them, And once you got good with the weapon and know kind of like, if this is long range, this is better up short range, I felt like you could take anything and make it work in this, and nothing seemed like it was way overpowering than something else. And again, going back to the balance, I feel like this has a lot of balance in it. And to me, that's more what I'm going toward now, especially in the multiplayer kind of verse, is I'm trying to find games that have that equal balance. So then when you beat somebody, it's more on the skill, not necessarily that you're using something better than your opponent, because that just seems cheap to me. Like, if you're gonna beat me with skill, use something. We all have the same guns, we all have the same abilities. In this game, you got it. Nobody pays for anything different. I think the only thing different you can get is a skin or a color or even an execution, but that doesn't change the outcome of the game. And I wish more games would follow this. This is just me personally, and this is kind of what I lean toward when I look at a game that's coming out. I like also that the second one just took what the first game had and just built upon that. I mean, we had a couple more Titans, we had different types of pilots, we had a few, a lot more different weapons, and that was kind of cool because it's like we're not going too far away from what made the game great. We're just adding to it. To this day, I still go back and I play this. It is a phenomenal game, and I still see people on there having a lot of fun with it. Unfortunately, they shut the first servers down for the first game, but the second one still is living and breathing to this day. But when I play, one good thing about it is it's a game that you can keep coming back to. And once you like how the game plays, it's a lot of fun. It's very addicting. I don't think, this is one game I actually played for years and still go back to occasionally because it's so different than a lot of other games I play. One thing that was a lot of fun and I had a blast, and I encourage everybody, even if you're not a multiplayer guy, is to try the second game's campaign, or even the first one. Especially the second one though, because when I played it through, I felt like I was in a movie. I could see this being a story, I could see this being a film, I could see this being like even a TV show. This game had like a lot of cool characters. The storyline wasn't like anything complex where you didn't understand it, but it was just fun playing through it. You felt like as you're going through it, you're just physically a part of it, which you're not, but it felt that way. And it really immerses you into, the campaign and the factions and why they're doing what they're doing. And to me, it's like a cool Starship Troopers / Mech Warrior type universe. And I just haven't seen a lot of shows where they take this to that level, or games do this. And I loved it. At the end, I just felt like I was on a roller coaster ride. And it's like one of my favorite campaigns that I've played, actually, in video games. It's not super long, but it was a lot of fun. I kind of need to go back and do it because it's been years since I played it, but I remember generally leaving going, that was a lot of fun. Like, I would like to do that again sometime. So where the game stands today, I have been praying, crossing my fingers, doing everything possible, hopefully to get a third game, because I would love for them to do what they did with the second one and just add more. I want more Titans, maybe up to 10 would be cool. More pilots, just do what you're doing, just add more to the game. The studio that owns it is a big name studio, so they have the power to make a game. The only thing is, I don't know how big the fan base is of it now, because at first I thought it was a dying game, because we heard nothing, we saw nothing, yet there's still people that play the game. But then the whole Battle Royale came out, and this has been an ongoing thing for years, thanks to Fortnite was the one that started this, and a lot of games have converted over to it, and to me, I am not a fan of it. I just don't want to spend that much time gathering things and getting shot one time and then waiting all day to play. I'm a respawn and keep going kind of person. Don't have time like that anymore. But people who do, fair enough. But unfortunately, Titanfall got wind of this, and they went into that too, which I heard it did really well. Apex Legends is a very popular game. So I was happy for the franchise. I was happy that it was getting noticed, that it wasn't going to get buried. It was going to raise up and maybe become something again, but just not that way. I think I speak for a lot of people. We'd love to have a Titanfall 3. And a lot of people, I've been on the Reddits, I've been on the line, and we're still waiting, but I just keep having faith that possibly the studio might finally give us that. And then I would be happy. I mean, if it ended up on 3 and you just gave us a little bit more of everything, maybe made some tweaks that, the second game to some of the hardcore fans that wanted change, maybe some more weapons, more Titans, things like that, we'd be happy. But just don't stray away from what's great about it. Keep it simple, and who knows, maybe we'll get that one day. I mean, fingers crossed.